Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all of the board of director and all my fellow shareholder of Tijaro Investor Berhad. Me, Danish Daniel, as a representative of financial analysis, would like to present our next investment plan. Our team of financial analysis consists of Adham, Rizwan, me, Danish Daniel, Fatul Nahim, and Shabil. The first company that we would like to propose is FGV Holding Berhad. FGV Holding Berhad is one of the world's largest plantation company and producer of crude palm oil. It was founded in 2007 as a commercial arm of the Federal Land Development Authority, which is FELDA, to manage investments in the upstream and downstream palm oil industry. It has been listed in the main market of Bursa Malaysia since June 2012. Our second company proposal is Genting Plantation Berhad. Genting Plantation Berhad is a firm that began operation in 1980 as the Genting Group's plantation arm and has been listed in the Bursa Malaysia since 1980s. And the last company is TH Plantation Berhad. TH Plantation Berhad is an oil palm and rubber plantation company in Malaysia. It was founded in 1972 as the plantation arm of Lembaga Tabung Haji and debuted on the Bursa Malaysia Security Berhad main board on April 27 of 2006. Let's move on to the next section, which is analysis ratio. In this section, you will understand why we choose these three companies in the same industry, which is oil palm, based on their financial performance and financial status. Let's move on to our first analysis ratio, which is profitability ratios. Profitability ratios is a measurement of a company's ability to generate their income or profit over their revenue. There are two types of profitability ratios, which is the first one, gross margin ratio, and the second one, operating margin ratio, which is in this case, the higher the number, the better their performance. Now, let's move on to our findings regarding to these three companies' analysis ratio over the 2021 to 2022. As it could be seen that FGV and Genting has maintained their performance, while unfortunately TH Plantation has declined their gross margin ratios. Now, let's move on to our second findings, which is operating margin ratios. However, in these ratios, it could be seen that all of these three companies shows a declining trend. As it may be, they could improve their operating margin ratios in the future if they could minimize their operating expenses. Now, let's move on to our second analysis ratio, which is liquidity ratios. In this section, you will understand the company's ability to pay their liability, which is short-term liability or long-term liability, which is in this case, the higher the ratio, the better. Our findings regarding to the liquidity ratios, it could be seen that FGV and Genting had maintained their liquidity ratios. However, it could be seen that TH Plantation had a staggering increase in their trend, which put TH Plantation at the highest company who could repay their liability and at the lowest risk of liquidity. Now, let's move on to our last analysis ratios, which is leverage ratios. These ratios measures a company debt level, which is in this case, the lower the ratio, the better for the company. There's two types of leverage ratios, which is debt ratios and debt to equity ratios. Now, let's move on to our findings regarding to leverage ratios and debt ratios of these three companies over 2021 and 2022. As it could be seen that FGV and TH Plantation had declined or had reduced their debt over these 2 years. However, Genting maintained their debts. Now, let's move on to our last finding of leverage ratios, which is debt to equity ratios. It also could be seen that FGV and TH Plantation had declined, had reduced their debts level. However, Genting had slight increase in their debts. At this point, some of you might be asking why we choose these three companies in the same industry, which is crude palm oil or CPO. It is because of CPO could sustain any economic condition, whether it is in the economic crisis of the COVID-19 pandemics. Even though it has a slight decrease in the price in the first half of 2020, if we compare that to the price of the global market price from the 1990s until 2020, it could be proven that global price market of CPO had an upward or a positive trend it shows that CPO is a sustainable industry. Some of you might be asking how CPO is a sustainable industry. It is because of it has a high external demand from the global market demand, because it covers wide variety of use. Unlike other oil, for instance sunflower oils that used mainly for cooking, CPO could cover wide varieties from cooking, food product to cosmetic. This is why the global demand would prefer to import CPO over other kind of oil. Now let's move on to the last part, which is conclusion. If we had to pick the best company among these three companies, then it would be Taste Plantation and Genting Plantation. It is because of it could be proven from the analysis ratio that Taste Plantation had a quite flexible performance. If 1 year they could increase their performance by quite a number, then I'm really sure that 1 year they might experience a negative profit. Unlike Genting Plantation, who could maintain their profit, their ratios among this year. If we invest in these two companies, and if it could be that 1 year Taste Plantation had a negative profit, then we could rely on Genting Plantation dividend. That's all from us, Team Financial Analysis. I hope all of you would take into consideration regarding our findings and proposal regarding to our next investment plan. That's all from us. Thank you for your time.